Hi, welcome to GPA, our ultimate leadership community. I am Michael in beautiful California, Southern California, and I'm grateful for everything in life. Waking up this morning, being able to breathe in my right mind, and being able to have such a beautiful family, this community. Unmute
Grand,
yourself, Joy.
Grand Rising.
Oh, sorry, Grand Rising, Michael. This is Joy, and I am so grateful to be here today to listen to another speaker. I'm grateful for new beginnings, and I'm looking forward to what's in store for all of us.
Great morning, Joy. This is Alexi from Los Angeles, California. And what I'm truly grateful upon this day is getting to live, get to life, not have to life. I'm truly blessed for that. And as always, I love my family and community each and every week.
Grand Rising, Alexi. This is Shanine. Hello, Dr. Andrea. I am in Southern California as well. It is a beautiful day, obviously. It's a party where we are, and I'm super excited to be with each and every one of you again this Saturday morning because there's so much growth that happens on this platform. It's amazing. So welcome, Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, Shanine. This is Bob Feiger in beautiful West Hollywood, California. And I'm grateful to have Dr. Andrea on the call. I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful to wake up in my right mind and have my arms and my limbs and all the things I have in life. And I'm grateful for my second family. And thank you, all of you. I love you.
Grand Rising. This is Janine Chandler, North Carolina, and I am so happy to be here today. And Dr. Andrea, thank you so much for being here and taking the time out of your schedule, especially on a Saturday, to speak to us. I'm really excited. I'm thankful for being alive and cancer-free, being a part of this family, and trying to touch lives all over the world with our products and our knowledge and our mission.
Grand Rising, Janine. This is Muhammad Macaulay, also from California, and I am extremely grateful to be able to wake up this morning, see all of your smiling faces, and really be able to bask in all of your fantastic energy. Thank you, each and every one of you, for everything that you bring to the table, everything that you've taught, everything that we've learned, and I look forward to Dr. Andrea.
Well, we're very grateful. Listen, whenever we have guest speakers, I get so excited I can hardly sleep at night. And last night was no different. I didn't sleep at all last night. But I'm so excited because I know this person and some of the guest speakers I know of. And I want to publicly thank Alexi because he's in charge of guest speakers, and it's not easy to coordinate these people with their busy schedules on a certain day, the first Saturday of the month. For those of you that are here live and those of you that are going to watch this recording, please, please get pen and paper, take notes. You may want to watch this again because you're about to receive some knowledge and wisdom, not from theory, not from a book, from a person that lives it. And so, Alexi, if you would be so kind as to introduce our special guest, please. Thank you.
Michael, it would be my pleasure and honor. You know, there are people in life that not only talk the talk, but they walk the walk. Miss Andrea is exactly that person. Not only she is a serial entrepreneur, she has a 3-time doctorate degrees, which shows us that she's not only knows what she teaches, but she lives what she teaches. She's an amazing mother and family maker. And last but not least, this person is a true servant leader. She leads with her heart in every relationships. She knows no strangers and wishes and does pay forward to each and every person. This is your introduction to Miss Andrea Miller. Now, this is your time to, as Michael said, take notes, enjoy the presentation that we have for you. And Andrea, the floor is yours.
Well, I am so excited. Give them the old razzle dazzle, razzle dazzle. That's what Michael told me to do. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have a lot of fun and, go over a lot of really fun things. So I just wanted to share, I have this I wouldn't say overwhelming because it's something that I want. So overwhelming would be more, it almost seems negative sometimes, and yet we use it as a positive. But just this feeling of gratitude and acceptance and love that I feel from being here in front of you and being able to step away on the Labor Day weekend, on a holiday weekend, that people want to engage and be together to, share community, learn information, and to propel their lives forward. And being able to, be in that moment where I see your beautiful faces and these wide eyes and this, inquisitive looks like, what are we getting ourselves into today? Gets me excited about hearing what you guys have to share in community together today, and having an opportunity to listen in to what's important to you and how you're going to take this information and add it into your life to make your life even better. So thank you so much to Alexi and Michael for having me here today. I adore both of them. They're such sweethearts and so giving. In fact, recently I started writing a song. Once in a while, I do interesting things that are outside the scope of what I normally do. And I'm writing a song called People Pleaser. And there is so many of us in the world who are people who can, it's such a positive thing, and that's another word, that sometimes is used as a negative, but people pleasers aren't a negative. Those are the kind of people, they really care about you. They're looking in the element of who you are and how they can give and contribute to your life to make it even better. And I am one of those people. So I'm so honored anytime I'm in the space of Michael and Alexi. And I'm assuming that they attract people like that. So as I get to know all of you, I'm really looking forward to hearing how you show up for other people in your world. So our main scope of what I want to share is called relationship capital. We often get a budget, or maybe we learned it in an accounting class, that we should have a budget in our life. We should manage our money and our assets. But the one thing that's missing is when people ask you, what is the value of your relationship capital? So let's go ahead and engage the chat here a little bit. If you've ever heard of relationship capital, let's use our emoji things too. So like raise your hand if you've heard either physically or with your icon, whatever one is quickest and easiest for you. Let me know if you've heard of relationship capital. All right, I'm seeing some hands up. All right, so relationship capital, when I first heard about it, I had this idea that relationship capital meant what people's value or assets were worth in like cash value. Because at the time, I'm talking, 35 years ago, as a young person, I didn't realize that relationship capital goes beyond what is financially valuable to us. I only had that in what were their assets, what was their bank account, their worth as far as value money wise. And then as I learned and adapted higher emotional intelligence, I realized that relationship capital is so much more. And that became even more prevalent during COVID. So as I'm sharing these things, look back into your life and think during COVID, when things were not available, things like maybe you needed somebody to do something for you. Who are the people in your relationship capital who would be there to lend an ear? Be there to lend a car, be there to watch your kids, be there to step in to get groceries, or when we had a toilet paper shortage, who was there to give you a roll of toilet paper? And it seems so silly now that we have abundance and access to things again. But when things are difficult, when you have a challenge in your job, in your employment with someone else, or within your business, if you're an entrepreneur, or if you're having a challenge in your life in general, whether it's illness or in a relationship, who are the people that you can count on for whatever it is that you need, whether it's something kinesthetic like feelings, emotions, a talking point, advice, a mentor, or who are the people who will help you get information out. So let's say you're doing a program or an event, who will help you enroll people into coming to your event. That's what I mean by relationship capital. If you feel like you're very abundant in relationship capital, give me a thumbs up. And if you would like to have even more relationship capital, make your thumbs up go like this. So it's very funny because my business name is the Red Carpet Connection. So let me give you a little bit of history of me, and then I'll come back to relationship capital. By the way, full transparency, I have been diagnosed with ADD my whole life. So if all of a sudden I go, hey, what did I say I want to tell you guys about? I need several of you to help keep me in the loop and bring me back to center. So I'm going to ask of you while I give to you as well, so that we all work together. So we're going to tie back in why I'm talking about the Red Carpet Connection and back to relationship capital. That'll be when I say, what am I talking? All right, so the Red Carpet Connection. So Dr. Andrea Adams Miller. By the way, let me say something about even my name, Adams Miller. I was born a Benavides. And I always loved it as a kid because I was an only child. And as an only child, when you are with other people and playing games, and when you're little, everybody wants to go first. Do you remember that? Do you remember when you were playing a game, or the first one to ask to try something out at school, when you were the one who went, oh, I'm first. If you're one of those people, just put your hand up in the air and shake it like this. Oh, Michael's one of those people. And how many of you remember that you used to be that person, or somebody who used to be that person, and now they're like, I want to go second or third or last? What happens is, as we become more aware of what's happening in the world, we often don't want to be the one to go first anymore. Well, for some reason, I really love being first. So when I married an Adams, I was even more excited because I went from B to A, the beginning of the alphabet. And then I married a Miller, and that is in the middle of the alphabet. And I was not willing to be in the middle. I wanted to be in the first. So that's why I hyphenated Adams and Miller, so that Adams is always the first one to go. I'm one of those people. I'll volunteer and go first. I'll be the first one on the dance floor, the first one on the stage, the first one to give an example. And that's because I find that excitement in being first very fun, where I know that's like the number one fear in the world for people. So as an average, the number one fear is someone going first in something. For whatever reason, that fear doesn't exist for me. And very cool, I now have the skill set to help other people overcome that limiting belief and overcome those feelings of fear as well. So they're not afraid to go first anymore in the world. So, and then there is another reason I kept Adams. My oldest daughter was from my first marriage. She was an Adams, and I didn't want to not be her mother anymore. So the combination of wanting to stay Destiny's mom at school, that they know Mrs. Adams is still her mother, and then combining the two names and staying at the beginning of the alphabet became a priority for me. And I share that story because, names are really important to people. And if you look at your own name, there's probably something about it that is really poignant to you. And in being able to share that story with other people, it allows you to give people clue ins to who that person is and what's important to them. So as I tell you my stories, I'll kind of break them down a little bit as well and give you the reason why I'm sharing them, so that as you are presenting or talking, or maybe enrolling something in a meeting or mentoring someone, you have that opportunity to break those things down as well. All right. So why do I break things down as well while I'm telling them? Is for multiple reasons. One, I'm a teacher by heart. I used to teach college in 2 different colleges, and I taught in 7 different departments. So I taught in law enforcement department, I taught in psychology, sociology, in business, in English, and creative dramatics, and I'm not remembering the last one right now. It'll come to me. Oh, speech and communication. Thank you. So I love teaching and providing knowledge to other people. And I'm a person who loves to learn myself. So he wasn't kidding when Alexi said that I have 3 PhDs. One's in public health, community education, and health promotion. And then the second one is in alternative theology. The third one is, what is the third one in? Oh, the study of entrepreneurship, why people succeed and fail in business. And then I'm actually working on a 4th one. I'm at a master trainer level in NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and hypnosis. And at that master trainer level, I have to read 100 books and do so many hours of training. And when you look at the equivalent of what a PhD program asks for and what I'm doing in this program, because I have a school called the Institute of Subconscious Connection, or the Subconscious Connection Institute, and that teaches people those different services so that they can apply them into their own life. Well, having all of this information and rolling it together is a snapshot of who I am. Now, a reason that I mentioned all of that again, I'm drawing all these little circles, by the way, and hopefully this will help show you, like if we put all these little bubbles together, eventually we'll have this full bubble of, or at least a good understanding of who I am and why I bring all this to the table. So not only is there the teaching component, but I also am a publicist and I do publicity consulting all over the world. So publicity is being a person who's able to look at someone or their business or their products and being able to figure out how we can portray information to other people to get other people excited about it so that it's talked about, that it's seen, that it's heard, that it becomes something that looks familiar to other people. It goes right along with like commercializing, it goes right along with marketing. And that's really what publicity is. It's showcasing people and bragging about them so that they don't have to do that for themselves. And so I teach other people how to do that. And for a few select high-level clients, I do that for them. And all right, so let me bring you back around to what is the red carpet connection. So the red carpet, how many of you have loved being on the red carpet, have had the opportunity to walk a red carpet somewhere and have your picture taken on the step and repeat? A step and repeat, by the way, is those logos on a banner behind you that you often see at celebrity events or at events with entrepreneurs that are coming in. Have you guys done that? If so, give me right in the chat, put it a yes in there or a Y. So we'll get that going too. We'll engage some different things there. So put a Y if you've ever had the opportunity to walk on the red carpet. All right, I've seen it. Oh, Joy's got to. Good. And by the way, I just love the name Joy. Just makes me happy just to say it. So, oh, good. And Shanine, that she did as well. Maybe a couple others of you. And when you walk the red carpet, there's this sense of excitement. The bright lights are on you. So just for a moment, just close your eyes and imagine you're walking on this red carpet, walking up towards this area where there's cameras. People, they're all talking and you hear all this hubbub and you hear excitement and you feel more energy. And as you step into the light in front of that step and repeat banner, you hear those cameras going off and the flash bulbs and the lights shining and the heat. Even when it's really cold outside, you feel the heat from those bright lights. And people, look here, look over here, take a pose, and they're taking pictures of you. You feel so excited. You feel like you're somebody. You feel seen. You feel like people want to know who you are. The red carpet to me is like this huge embrace to encourage people to come in. You're important. We want to see and hear you. And then inviting them to come into this venue, whether it's a movie premiere or an event or a birthday party or a launch. It's something of excitement where you have the eyes on you. And the red carpet connection, one of my friends and clients gave me that name because I own another business as well. And he said, you know, Andrea, you really should do the second business because you've gotten so much publicity for yourself over these years. If you did publicity for other people, you're just like giving them the red carpet. And it's a red carpet connection because it's this connection to other people, the connection to relationship capital. Now, the whole time I'm talking, I want you to step back away from me talking about me. I'm only using me as a story. And I want you to think about your own life as I do this and delineate for yourself where there are opportunities in your life where things have happened, where you could be telling a story about them and make them into something so that other people can see the connection that they may have with you or with what you're sharing. It also helps you break down the elements so that when you do publicity later, there's certain elements that connect to other people in such a way that you can make those relate to them. That's where the relationship capital becomes most prominent. When you take something that you hear other people say, and then you're able to connect something in your life or your business to them so that they feel like you have something in common. So there's that likeness, that familiarity, that, you feel altruistic to them, you feel cathartic because you feel like you're helping, and then you feel the sense of connection. So that's what the red carpet connection is really about. Because even though I say red carpet connection, it's really about relationship capital, and it's about real relationship capital. It's how do we really connect to people? Because I want to differentiate between being on a red carpet with celebrities, where you don't always get to talk to them, you just look at them from afar, and real relationship capital where you get to engage with them. So think about your group here. So Alexi and Michael give of themselves. They by the way, these gentlemen are celebrities. When we're on at events together, people will go up to them and like, oh, you're Alex, are you Alexi? And they're like, hi, and Michael, Michael, nice to meet you. You can see the people get like a little giddy, like they're so excited to be around them. And what's really cool about both of them is here, they treat people as equals. And although they take mentorship and leadership roles and have great business where they can advise and help people to really expand and grow in their businesses, when you're working with them, you feel like you're working with them. You not feel like you're being talked down to or away from. They're very including. And that's what I love about them. And I'm really, I can't wait. I feel like, can we just go to Q&A? Because I'm going to hear all about you guys. So right now, write down in the messages, what are some things that you hear me saying that you can relate to yourself? And if you're watching this in replay, do the same thing. Because when we write things, we create a neuroplasticity or a neuro connection to what we handwrite differently than when we type things. So you guys are going to type it, and but it would be even better if you type it here for us here so we can engage together, but that you also handwrite it, of how you hear me talking about things about my life and what I've done. And then if you could think of how you could do that with your own life, what have you done that if you were to break it down would allow you to show how you have become who you've become in a different way, where other people could use that as a way to help themselves. So if you can type that in here as well. I'll give everybody a moment to write. All right, so the reason I talked about neuroplasticity, I already mentioned the Subconscious Connection Institute. And what I've been doing is for several years, I've always been interested in the brain. By the way, do you guys remember in 8th grade when you're supposed to in 8th grade, at least that's what it used to be, 8th grade, to write down what you want to be in the future. What job do you want to have? How do you want to show up in the world? So if you remember that, allow yourself to go back in time and remember what you wrote. I had to write 3 things. And I wrote that I wanted to study people. And it was interesting. I wanted to study religious cults that did harm to people because I wanted to understand the psychology of something that was supposed to be good for people and why that would cause harm. So apparently in 8th grade, I had that interest in theology and crime. And I'll come back to that later. And I also said I wanted to be a brain surgeon and know about the brain. And the third thing I wrote is that I wanted to have kids. And I remember them telling me, that doesn't fulfill what we're asking for here, because we're asking about a career. And I said, well, wanting to know about kids and to be a good parent, couldn't that be a choice? And they're like, no. So then I put down archaeologist because and anthropologist. I was torn because I wanted to study people before us and their cultures. So I wanted to know who they were and what they were doing. So those were the interesting things. Oh, look at what people are writing here. Joy wanted to travel the world. Alexi wanted to be a business owner. Amazing. And then Joy, she said that what she's getting from me is breaking down the elements of her story, amazing story, so that she could connect to other people so that they relate to her. Excellent. And then with that, be very specific with what you're writing down too. So that way it oh, all right. Alma, thank you. I wanted to heal people as an 8th grader. That's beautiful. So I'm really excited because I can't wait to see how you guys, when we look back at what we really wanted to do, it ultimately, I think it ties in with what we want to do now. What is our sole purpose? So whatever you're doing, if you don't have enough of those things from the past that you really wanted to do when you were young, chances are you're not fulfilling what you really wanted to do. And you'll have greater happiness and joy and satisfaction if you take those things from the past and integrate them now into your future. And you can do them and incorporate them into so many things that it's quite amazing what you're able to do when you start looking at your world differently and being able to break things down. All right, so let me see what I haven't told you yet. All right, so I want you to imagine for a moment a 911 call. You hear the phone ring, you pick it up, and you hear screaming on the other end. And you can't make out what the person's saying. And you're the 911 operator. And you have to interrupt them. You have to say, 911, what's your emergency? What's happening? What's going on there? Talk to me. I need you to calm down. Tell me what's happening. Describe it to me. Are you somewhere safe? Are you seeing someone? Is someone there? That was part of my life at one time. I went from being a corrections officer to being a 911 operator at the Fort Finley Police Department. And I found at that point, when someone calls you and you don't know what's happening, you have to really put yourself in a different frame of mind to be very resilient for that person to be able to communicate to you, to decipher what they're saying, and to be able to figure out how to take action to help keep them the safest. So I want you to also think back into your life. What kind of jobs have you had in the past? Even if it was something simple like the first job I ever had, I worked at Ponderosa was what it was called. No, was that called that? Maybe I think it was called Ponderosa. And gosh, now I'm questioning it. Anyhow, it was a restaurant where you came and had a buffet. And my job was to bust the tables and to make sure they had rolls. And that's all I did. However, if I look back at that job now, I realize there's things I learned on that job that I still do today. So I still today, now, by the way, I've never revealed that I worked at Ponderosa before in this context. I remember joking about it once, saying that we would eat the dinner rolls. But I've never referenced it in according to this. But it's interesting how things bring you back around. So I want you to think of a job that you had in your life and a long time ago, like maybe your first job. And what skills did you learn that you actually still do today? So one of the things I still do today is, so my job was to bus tables, no matter where I'm at or what event I'm at or what I'm doing, or whether I'm at somebody else's birthday party or visiting an event where I paid, $1,500 for a ticket. I still automatically stack the plates and move everything and put the trash and take other people's things and put it together so that it's easily bussed for the person to take it away. And sometimes I even stand up and take it away and put it on the tray or the table, no matter where I'm at. That's a skill that has stayed with me, is to make the space that I'm in clean and prepared so that we can have the next stage of whatever that we're doing in that space. I still do that today. I didn't do that before that, but I sure as heck have done it ever since. So for yourself, write that down. Oh, me too, Mohammed. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that, by the way. Mohammed Macaulay, I like your name, Mohammed Macaulay, MM. When we start thinking of these things and start looking at our life, it allows you to start writing down things for your whole life and your whole career from a publicity standpoint. It helps you really recognize what your skills and assets are. So if we were to take that, okay, obviously I'm not going to write down on something now. By the way, I've worked with celebrities before, like I worked for the Michael Jackson family. They did not hire me because I had on my letter of intent that I bus tables at Ponderosa. Okay, that is not the leading reason. But one of the leading reasons probably is I took all of those things down and then I rethought them and put them in a copywriter's mindset of how I could showcase that. Nowadays, you guys have AI, which I've been teaching people about AI as well. It really helps as a publicist and in copywriting. You could now take your old assets and put them into AI and say, how could you rewrite that professionally? In fact, let's do it right now. Is that okay with you guys, that we just be a little playful? All right, so usually I just go for my own head, but for right now, I think it would be fun to incorporate what's available to us in the world. So let me pull up one of my assets. I'm going to write a prompt into it. You are an expert copywriter. Take the elements of a busser at a diner and rewrite them for a corporate position. Let's see what it says. Okay. Okay, so this is what I used to do all by myself. Now I still take everything that ChatGPT does. I use it as a tool, just like I use spell check, just like I use Grammarly, all the tools that we have available. I still use a thesaurus, except for I use one online because it's faster. And I look at what it said. So it says a busser at a diner clears tables efficiently and promptly, sets tables with clear liners, utensils, and dishes, is the support staff, refills drinks, maintains cleanliness, is prompt and courteous with service. And then they rewrote it and said, they are excellent and superb with I'm rewriting what it wrote, because what it says is corporate hospitality coordinator. Well, that doesn't quite fit what I would want it to fit. So in taking what it says and rewriting it, now that I'm looking at it, so for me, as an international publicist, I ensure that the areas are properly reset after any client session ensuring a pristine environment that is adequate for subsequent events afterwards, that I maintain top tier aesthetics and functionality of the meeting spaces so that we're able to take them to the highest level possible. So I'm taking what I read and I'm rewriting it in my head as I talk to you guys. I oversee and organize the appeal of the area for the client, ensuring that the client space reflects how I want their audience to see them. So do you see from that example in showing you guys how you can do those things for yourself? Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? It's really funny how we can go back and look at really simple things. Thank you very much, Jennifer wrote, relationship capital, and then tying that into other people. So how do we take those, and those are buzzer things, okay? Obviously I have PhDs, I've done way bigger stuff than that, but I took something very minuscule from when I was 15 years old. And by the way, I remember I got paid $2.01 for that. And then took that into the world. Oh, by the way, just the difference in things how have changed in time. It's also fun to look at the concept of that because it allows us to look at other people and other cultures where money is seen differently. Like in the Philippines, you know, my one VA for them, for their income and what they make per hour and what I pay them is substantially different, you know, puts them at a really higher pay grade than what they would be paid in their country. So it's just very, uh, mind-blowing, you know, to allow you to think differently in that. When I worked as a corrections officer, oops, sorry, somebody called me on my phone. That's odd. I've never had anybody call me on my computer during a webinar. Should I have let them in? That would have been fun. So when you are, wait, I lost it for a moment because that distracted me. Where was I going with that?
When you're a correction officer?
Thank you. When I was a corrections officer, I often was chosen to work the violent felon ward. So I had, it was a felony ward plus my violent felons. So that meant I was responsible for 127 or 137 men that had all committed a crime as a felony, but there was about, we had a ward with 7 of them that were, well, actually it was more than that, 12 that were violent. And then we had like our super violent. And there were 5 of them in there that I was responsible for. And I got paid $7.01 to work at that job. That's, so when you think about in the world what's available and what people are paid, it gives you a better appreciation for our community as a whole and gives you a better appreciation for yourself and your self-value as who are you and how do you show up in the world and what services do you provide. Then you're able to look at your income differently and what you should be paid now. By the way, those haven't, even though they've gone up, they're still not very high. I believe the people who are in corrections now in my community at that same place are in that like $18 to $23 range. So it has gone up considerably. But when you think about that, the situations that people are in and what they have to manage and take care of when people are in an angry state or an off state, that, you know, I want you to just be very mindful of that so that we're thinking about who gets paid what in our world and what do you deserve to get paid for the things that you create to help people be in a better space. By the way, I also want to showcase that one of the things that was really important to me about being in law enforcement and working in corrections is I never treated any of those people as if they were felt, because it was not my job to have any determination of who they are, who they were not. I treated them all like human beings and I treated them all with really high respect and expected the same from them. And I afterwards, when I was teaching college, I had several students that had felonies, and I always told them, you are not a felon. That's what you were and how you were distinguished when you were in the jail to separate you what ward you are. You have now served your time. You are now out. If you're going to refer to that, then you refer to, I had received a felony, because you had received it in the past. And while you still have that distinction now, that is not who you are. I would like you to decide to be somebody different. And I've known multiple people who've had felonies and even committed violent crimes who have come out and are really great people. And I treated them like that because I expected that of them, to come out and be in a better place. So I did want to share that because although there was some situations where people were ill or angry and could act out very violently, I rarely had that happen. I had good relationship capital with the people that were in there because they know I treated them well, because it wasn't my job to punishment for punishment. Their punishment was as they were separated from their families and their choice to be able to do what they wanted throughout the day outside of the bars. And and so anyhow, I just wanted to put that out there because that's important to me. All right. So what else let me think what else I wanted to share with you guys so you can start adding to yourself. All right. So we're talking about relationship capital, where I'm giving you a little bit of history of me so you can help understand who I am. So as you're hearing these different things about me, let's play a game that I've never played before. I've never had anybody make an assumption about me live. We're going to play it anyway. That's a little, oh, this will be fun, but it'll be just fine. And so no bars hold. I'm not saying that correctly. Don't hold back is what I'm saying. Go for it. So in hearing what you've heard, what are some assumptions that you make about who I am? Because remember, we always make assumptions about people because we have limited information about them. And so what you see and what you hear is the only thing we have to be able to make an assumption about them. So I've told you very little. All right, Joy was brave. Thank you, Joy, for going first. She said diverse interests. Jennifer says, I have a lot to share. Shanine gave a reveal about herself as well. You are another goddess, and I would assume that is an addition to her. And with all the bubbles and circles behind her, she's got a lot of wonderful glowing things around her. So some of the assumptions that you may have been thinking about and didn't say, or may not have even crossed your mind at all yet, is I grew up in a world where I had to be very aware of things at all times. I have a beautiful father who is beautiful when he's beautiful. And when he is not, he is very not. He can be very violent and very negative with his choice of words towards people and things. And when you live in that environment where I always felt like when I hear people talk about wartime, where they might, drive somewhere and step on a bomb or an explosive device, I felt like I lived in that world because I never knew what would create the situation to shift or change. Now, on one hand, yes, I was a victim of domestic violence in my own home. On the other hand, the gift that comes from that is it has allowed me to have this awareness of my surroundings, to read people differently, and also to be able to work with people who are normally viewed as difficult to work with. I tend to do well with them, better than other people. And that's because I see and recognize what's going on, and I have an empathy and a love for them despite what ugliness they may be showing. So that also made me aware that being a publicist and working for celebrities, I also at one point used to work for people like that because I was used to being raised in a home like that, that was the norm for me to be spoken ill to or to be able to take a lot of shit. So it's through being a publicist and being in those situations that I now have been able to flip my position, where now I am very much able to look through my world and be more specific about what clients I want to work with, to vet them, to find out more information about them, so that I'm only working with people who are like Michael and Alexi and other people in our world, who are people who respect others, are open to ideas, who want to be educated, who respect that in other people, who respect working with a woman, who understand the value, who don't poo-poo at the price point sometimes when it may be higher, and know how to negotiate if it's not what they think it should be, and are able to clearly say what their expectations are. So I share that for you to look at yourself and in your business, what kind of relationship capital do you want to work with the clients that you're bringing into your world? So your experiences as a child, which they may be negative, or a past job situation may have been negative, how can you spin that and find the gratitude in it and allow it to teach you what you can bring into now to be really positive? So resilience is very important to me. And had I not had those situations, I wouldn't have been able to handle those 911 calls like I did. So there were 911 calls where I very much remember that I could have been the kid making that 911 call. And being able to see where people are at and not judge them for that, that's a different world too, where you can see that any of us can be in situations like that at any time, and having more consideration for where people are at in the moment, and knowing that's not the whole or the sum of who they are, but where they may be in the moment. So it gives you a much better humility to work with others, and allows people to be more transparent and open of who they are. And you finding that for yourself allows you to be more genuine and authentic in how you're showing up, because you will attract the people who love you as you are and accept you as you are, especially if as you are means you're constantly striving to be the better version of you. Yeah, sometimes we all have to admit, like, one part of publicity is covering things up when people got some shit going on. Okay, let's be very honest about that. And we all have things that we may not like about ourselves, or do things where we made a poor decision. It could be anything from for whatever reason, this is jumping into my head. At one point I had seen a speaker. I was working with a client that was in food safety, and Chipotle was there talking about when they had some challenges with how Chipotle had responded to some situations, and how they spoke and how they shared with us that they knew they effed up, and how they were just honest about it, made me appreciate that company and that person so much more, because they made a poor choice and they just were honest about it. And then they quickly did other things to make things right. They fixed some things. They talked about food quality and safety. They enacted and helped follow in some other rules, and they helped do other things to give out to other people. And then they, did coupons or whatever to get people to come back. It really was an example for all of us, is, if we've done something wrong, admit it and move forward. Because one of the things that I've learned with having the training in neuro-linguistic programming and with hypnotic language is that what's another way I can word this? So, like, I stopped saying I'm sorry. It doesn't mean I'm not sorry. I am sorry for the things that I've done, but I'm only sorry for the things I've done. Sometimes things happen that I used to apologize for that were no one's fault. So start looking at that for yourself in your own business as well. There's a difference that when you're working with a client or someone, when you truly have screwed something up. And then there's a difference when something has just been different, and then you just state what that is. So the best example I can give of that is with a child. Often what will happen is, if a child is drinking milk and the milk is spilt, the child will say, I spilt the milk. Now, if you have a glass and your arm bumped it, yes, your arm bumped it and it spilt, but you didn't spill the milk. So I want you to just to say things that for that in your life. So you just acknowledge, like, the email was sent erroneously, or the email went out without getting proof checked. That's what happened. And then you just say, let's fix it. Instead of who did it, who didn't check it, who didn't double check it. Like sometimes we spend so much time in putting blame on someone somewhere instead of just, this is what happened and let's fix it. How do we make it better? And how do we do it? Now, unless you, like, if you're the one who totally effed it up, then say, I made the decision to send it out without proof checking it. So now that it's been received, what can we do to fix it? End of story. So part of a publicist is when we spin stories. When I talked about the razzle dazzle, I always sing that song often at the beginning of my talks, because if you hear the rest of that song, it's from the musical Chicago. By the way, I'm a huge theater person. I've been in 71 productions, I think. And I just, actually, it'll be 72. I just got a part in another play. And so it'll be my 72nd show. And I said that because why did I say that about the show? What was I saying right before that? And I got distracted telling you that I do theater.
Razzle dazzle.
Thank you. Because I wanted to say why I always bring in stuff about musicals and why I sing almost everything comes from Broadway often. The reason that is that song, Give 'em the Old Razzle Dazzle, if you continue to look at the lyrics of that song, it actually does summarize publicity and the news of how it really shows up. It's like, give them the old flim flam, it says, they'll never, how can they see when they have sparkles in their eyes? And so I sing the song at the beginning, give them the old razzle dazzle, because it sounds fun and cute and exciting. But I'm always very honest about publicity has two sides. It can be very beautiful and it can be done very well and very eloquently and very smooth. And then there's the publicity that is literally covering up things, distracting people from things in such a way that's unethical. And we have a lot of that happening in the world now. So when you're doing things, when you're using, Chat GPT or there's 1,000 AI tools now. If you're using one of those, be honest about it, that it's one of the tools that you use and with what you do. And when you do utilize those things, then make sure that you look through them again, finesse them and make them your own. Because remember, we're all allowed to model everything. There's hardly anything new that they say is ever being invented anymore. Somewhere along the line, somebody's done it, said it, or created it, and now it's being shown to you. Now, there's a couple new things in the world we're finding out here and again, like AI. Although I tend to wonder, are we reading the hieroglyphics correctly? Maybe they were already doing this a long time ago, but now we have this opportunity. But when you tell people about it, it's seen differently. So for example, my daughter's a teacher and she just completed her master's degree. She teaches English and reading. And we were talking about that. And she said, Mom, I'm using Chat GPT for this or whatever. And I said, remember, you're also allowed to model other things. So whether you read or look at the words written by Napoleon Hill in a book, or you have Chat GPT research something, as long as you double check the facts at another resource or another way, and then you look at the information and utilize it and then turn it and spin it into your own stuff and follow the rules of what is actually plagiarism, where you actually use someone else's words or just substitute the words. I see people do that all the time. They don't realize that if you just substitute a word, that is still plagiarism. So basically what you need to do is read things, take them in, digest them, understand them, adapt and change them, and add in all the other things of you. I think what happens is people forget that you have all this wonderful knowledge in your own head, everything from the first job you had when you were 15. Take all that stuff and add to it and then make it yours. And then when you put that out in the world and when you share it, you can claim ownership of it because you have the confidence and authority behind it to support what you just shared. And by the way, people read into that. So if I'm giving you some flim flam badoozle, even if I think I believe it, you guys will pick up on that. Think about your sixth sense. How many of you have met somebody who swears something's the truth, talks about it, and you just like, that gut check is like, I see Muhammad going, yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, you, Alma, you've noticed it, Carolyn. Where there's just, oh, I haven't addressed Alfreda yet. I like her name, Alfreda. My dad's name is Alfred, by the way, so that's probably why I like it. When you read those, see that on people's faces, there's just something that tells you it's not right. Sooner or later, you probably find out that maybe you never find out if that was right, but you find out other things and you're like, makes you question what things are. So the more blunt and honest you can be with people about things, the better it'll be. And again, it's perfectly okay to redirect them. So let me give you some examples where redirection is one of the best things that you can do. If you're ever at an event and they're having trouble with the slides, and you see somebody in the room on the other side of the room stand up and say something like, I want to remind people to hashtag Alexi and Michael are amazing. It's because they're redirecting you from the person who screwed up with the slides and needs help over here and reminding you of other things. Or dinner is at 5 o'clock after this. And if you don't see somebody doing that and everybody's still focused on everybody screwing up over here with whatever's going on with whatever, if it fits in with the context of what's going on, be that person to stand up and offer it and say, oh, I just want to remind everyone that I saw that they want us to share pictures and whatever. Just be that person to blurt that out. The people, the host will be so thankful for you because you created a redirection from what's going on. It makes them look better and makes things look clean. That's one of the things that publicists can do. Just redirect everybody's view over here. Nothing to see. Look over here. And then we do it with our words as well. So just like I said, when you, so I don't apologize for things that I had no control over. I want you to think about that in your words as well. So that you're stating fact and then you have them see what you want them to see and look at what you want them to look at. So one of the reasons I was having you look back at the first job you ever did, although that wasn't my initial intention, I was going to have you look back in history. It was only in speaking that let's go back to your first job came out. I want you to actually create for yourselves. I think the biggest gift that I could give you all is to tell you to write down every freaking thing you've ever done in your life. I want you, do you guys call this grand rising? This meeting? Yeah. So grand rising should be on your and it may not always be on the resume, and you may have a job where like nobody asked for my resume, but I still always have one and I'm always updating it. I actually make LinkedIn my resume, by the way. So every time I do something, I add it to it. So that I have one place where everything is kept, and I also keep that in a Google Doc. I want you to do that for yourself because my third PhD, the one it's from the International University of Entrepreneurology. That one is allowing yourself to put up information where you can actually earn your PhD based on your knowledge, information, the places you traveled, the books you've read, the classes you've attended, the certifications you've received, and then you can create proof that you have the information and knowledge to have a PhD. So there have been people in the world who recognize that there's something in book smarts and there's something in real life application. So by keeping track of that information, you now can showcase yourself to different people in a different light so they can pick up and learn from what you do. So from your knowledge. So a curriculum vitae, by the way, is a longer resume. It's where you literally puke out everything you've ever done and you put it on there. I literally tell my clients, if you can't think of anything you've ever done and you remember your mom being proud of you because you helped an old lady cross the street, I want you to write it down. Because first of all, you might think it's dumb to write it down, but the second you write it down, because you're writing, it'll allow you to open it up and write something else down. But then even if that's all you have, we'll say when no one else steps forward to help a person in need, that's what you do. Okay. If you saw okay, I'm going to give another example. I noticed on Facebook, my friend Arlene Krantz saw a dog get hit. She picked it up, took it to the vet, got it fixed. She has it at home and she's trying to find the owner. It has no chip. That takes a special person to do that. Most people would see a dog get hit and go, oh, that's sad, and move on. Someone who stops and takes responsibility and pet care for someone else's animal that's injured and tries to either find the owner or rehome it, that's a special person. So think about those things in your own life. And by the way, how am I doing on time? So, oh, I probably am. I'm done. I went too long. So there's
Andrea, speaking of
yeah,
Andrea, speaking of redirection, right? I do want to redirect us, just for the time's sakes, into our Q&A in the after hours, since
sure.
we have completed our ultimate leadership community. And what I would like to say, give me 1 second. I do want you to, I would love to kick that next section off with a quick question about, I know you are the master of creating red card connections with celebrities. Maybe if you could talk about how do we create that relational capital with celebrities, and what is the power of celebrities in our business? And I will give it off to Michael to complete this part, and then we'll begin the next.
Yeah, thank you. And we honor time, but I don't mind going over when we have such a great guest speaker. What we're going to do, for those of you, we're just going to go ahead and end this hour of power, but then we're going to start another one, which is our after hours, and we're going to do that right now. So it's going to happen pretty quickly. And then we're going to also, everyone unmute yourselves, because we want to let her know how we feel about her and have some great conversations.
Cool. And on this initial recording, because I'm not sure how it's set up for other people. So I'm Dr. Andrea Adams Miller, www.theredcarpetconnection.com. If you go there, I have free gifts for everybody, and my free gifts change. So feel free to come back periodically and see what's new. Right now, I have a free AI book and an opportunity for you to come to a masterclass about AI. However, I was just getting ready to change it soon. So go ahead and sign up for that one if you want it, because I'm getting ready to change it. But I'm always doing something different. And then I have the Subconscious Connection Institute, where we're teaching people about how to be very successful and using neurolinguistic programming and hypnotic language. And I have a third business. It's called Ignite Your Relationship. And igniteyourrelationship.com is about, by the way, these are 3 different businesses, but they all focus on the same thing. It's all relationships. So igniteyourrelationship.com is about intimate and personal relationships. And so when you think about it, the publicity one, the red carpet connection, is relationships with other people, your community, your vendors, your stakeholders. The other one, igniteyourrelationship.com, is relationships with other people that are personal and intimate. And then the third one, the Subconscious Connection Institute, the subconsciousconnection.com, is your relationship with yourself and how you think and feel. So,
oh, thank you. Now we're going to end this call, but we're going to put all that in the chat. You guys have gotten great value. And of course, in the future, Doctor, we're going to ask you at the right time for all of us for you to come back. So all of you, we're going to see you next week. But again, stick around for our after hour.